Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting for Ipswich City Council on the 24th of October 2024, and we're commencing at 9:01am. Good morning to you all. I see everyone here here except for Councillor Madsen. Does anyone have an apology for him or know where Councillor Madsen is? No one knows where he is? No worries. No one's received an apology. No worries, thank you. I'd also like to, in the public gallery, we'd like to acknowledge and thank two people from the Department of Housing, Local Government Planning and Public Works for attending. We have Ms McAnallen, who's the Principal Region Advisor for Southern Region, and Ms Isles, who's here also from the department. Thank you very much for coming. I know that you often visit Council, so thank you very much for coming to our meeting, and I can see a few other people from the gallery here as well. I'll now move on to an acknowledgement of country. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners as custodians of the land and waters we share. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging as the keepers of the traditions, customs, cultures and stories of proud people. I'd now like to move on to the opening prayer. I'd like to ask Pastor Brad Payne from the Catalyst Church to please come. And I think this is your first time to our council chambers too, Pastor Brad. I'd just like to acknowledge Councillor Madsen entering. Thank you, Pastor Bell. I'd just ask you to introduce yourself, the church, and any works that you're doing, and lead us into prayer.
Fantastic. Yes, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, our CEO, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brad Payne. I am the Senior Associate Pastor at Catalyst Church. I've been there just over 2.5 years, and having moved from Brisbane, thoroughly enjoying the laid-back life in Ipswich, and I must admit I lose my grace when I drive down into Brisbane through all the traffic, so I am definitely enjoying life in Ipswich. I bring greetings from our church, Catalyst Church out at Brassel, in particular from all the congregants and also from our lead pastor, Mark Wilson, who's unable to be with us today. But our church has been vibrant. We have a heart for our community, and we are looking forward to the great things that we believe our God is going to continue doing in our great city, and we want to be part of that. So that will be absolutely fantastic. And I'd also like to thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to open today's session in prayer. So let's pray. Father God, I dedicate this session of the Ipswich City Council meeting to you and ask that you impart your favour and your wisdom in all of their deliberations today. Let their discussions and their debates be honest and considerate. Let the decisions made in these chambers reflect the needs of our community, and I pray, God, your will also. Thank you for this council, that it still acknowledges the importance of prayer. And I pray for the members of the council and ask that you be with our Mayor, Teresa Harding, Deputy Mayor, Nicole Jonick, our CEO, Sonia Cooper, the councillors Pi Augustine, Jacob Madsen, Paul Tully, Marnie Doyle, Andrew Antonelli and Jim Madden, that their representation will be in the best interest of the people in their divisions of the city of Ipswich. We thank you, God, for Ipswich, and we ask that you continue to bless us with a safe, healthy and vibrant community. Bless all of these proceedings, we pray today, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Brad.
Thank you.
Thanks. I now move on to apologies and leave of absence, and I have none, unless anyone would like to provide any. Thank you. Condolence motions, there are none. Tributes, there are none. Presentation of petitions, there are none. So I go to presentations and deputations, which is a prayer for peace. It's the 32nd prayer for peace speech by the Nerima Mayor Akio Meikawa, which is our sister city in Japan, and the 2024 prayer for peace from this city to Nerima City. Each year, Ipswich's Japanese sister city Nerima holds a Prayer for Peace concert where Mayor Akio Meikawa, his assemblymen and the people of Nerima come together to remember the devastation of Japan, suffered as a result of the atomic bombs being dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki on the 6th and the 9th of August 1945, respectively, ending World War II. As Nerima is a declared nuclear-free city, the local government uses this as an education tool for the younger generation who will be their leaders of tomorrow, to ensure history's lessons are not forgotten and their leaders always strive for a peacefully negotiated outcome to all the country's challenges. The concert has been held every year since 1992 as an opportunity to pray for lasting world peace and to remember the importance and preciousness of peace through music and lectures on wartime experiences. Nerima has sister cities in Australia and Hayden District, Beijing, China, and each year Mayor Meikawa invites the mayor of each of these cities to send a message on behalf of the people of that particular city. This is then translated and read out by Mayor Meikawa to the Nerima citizens. This year, Nerima City hosted the 32nd Annual Prayer for Peace concert on Thursday, the 1st of August at the Nerima Cultural Centre, where 902 people attended the event. Traditionally, to demonstrate our support for Nerima, a copy of the Nerima Mayor's message is always provided following the concert, which the Ipswich Mayor or nominated council then reads out the full meeting closest to that concert. So first I will read out to you the Mayor Meikawa's speech following my response to that. So this was the Mayor's speech at the 22nd Prayer for Peace concert. Good evening and thank you all for joining us today for the 32nd Prayer for Peace concert. 79 years have passed since the end of the Second World War. If I may begin by sharing my own experience, I was born shortly after the war came to a close, with my mother and father withdrew from Taiwan the following year. My parents faced tremendous hardships, having lost everything they had owned and returned to Japan with nothing. But because we had been in Taiwan, we were fortunate enough to be spared the agonies of battle, and our only knowledge of World War II is what we learned from video recordings and past documents. For the majority of you younger than me, I imagine the war must be even more of a thing of the distant past, a thing of history books. If we take a look around the world, however, there is still no end in sight to the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Our neighbouring countries are also making conspicuous moves to develop nuclear weapons, reinforce their missile capabilities, and rapidly expand their military power. Not a day goes by without news of war, regional conflict, or terrorism somewhere in the world. The peace we enjoy in Japan today is precious and priceless, and is delicately sustained by the invisible efforts of innumerable people. I believe it is crucial that we commit ourselves to keeping up these all-out efforts already being made. Today we invite Nerima resident Mr. Kato Nobuse to share his story. Mr. Kato was 6 years old when he experienced the Great Tokyo Air Raid. He will tell us about his memories of the day of the bombing and how he escaped during the raid. I hope his story will give you an opportunity to think about the war. We also have letters from the Hayden District in Beijing, China, and the city of Ipswich in Australia, with which Nerima has fostered friendships for over 30 years. Mutual exchanges between municipalities at the grassroots level are significant contributors to peace. I hope to continue the efforts to foster international exchange, where the leading roles are played out by you, the residents, including the children. Finally, for the concert, we present the tenor singer, Mr. Nishimura Satoshi. Please enjoy Mr. Nishimura's emotional, elegant singing. And that was the prayer. In response, the priest's message that I presented on behalf of the city is as follows, which was read out at the concert. Mayor Akio Meikawa, senior leaders and the Nerima community, it is my pleasure as the Mayor of the City of Ipswich to send a peace message to the people of Nerima. Our world has faced many new challenges in the past few years, and throughout that we have looked towards others more than ever. As we help our neighbours, let us show grace, kindness and friendship to those who reach out. I wish our nation's continued peace and prosperity for generations to come. I hope we can continue to flourish and grow our sister city relationship and work towards an ever peaceful friendship, especially in the spirit of the 32nd Prayer of Peace concert. On behalf of the community of Ipswich, I continue to offer my support and friendship to the citizens of Nerima. So thank you very much for allowing me to do that. On a personal note, in 1996, I went on holiday to Japan and visited Hiroshima and went to the memorial. And they have quite a large section of the city there, which has been, I guess, kept as a memorial of nuclear war. It's quite moving, and I think it's when we see what's happening in the world, it's good to remember the importance of peace and how precious it is. Thank you. And this month, we also marked 30 years of our sister city relationship with Nerima. So thank you for that. I'll now go on to item 9, which is public participation, and there is none. Item 10, matters of public interest, there are none. Item 11, declarations of interest on the agenda. I have not received any declarations prior to the meeting. Are there any declarations anyone would like to make? Thank you. If there's anything that pops up in conversation and discussion, please let me know. Item 12 is the confirmation of minutes. So I'll go to item 12.1, which is the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting. And the recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 12th of September 2024 be confirmed. I will move that. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Augustine. Any errors, omissions, corrections? No, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. I now move on to item 12.2, which is the confirmation of the minutes of the special meeting. And the recommendation is that the minutes of the special meeting held on the 1st of October 2024 be confirmed. I will move that. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Any errors, omissions, corrections? No, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. Item 13 is the mayoral minute. There is none. I'll move on to item 14, which is business outstanding, and there is none. Now move on to item 15, which is the reception and consideration of committee reports. And I'll just, if I ask people, there's a few movements in this part. There's a few discussions, I think, coming out of the committee meeting. So I apologise if you see me looking through a few different folders and books because I go old school during the meetings. The first one is the item 15.1, which is the report of the Infrastructure Planning and Assets Committee. And I'll hand over to the chair of that committee, Councillor Anthony. How would you like this report managed?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the Infrastructure Planning and Assets Committee number 2024-05 of the 15th of October 2024 for reception and adoption.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussions, highlights?
Yes, Mayor, if I may, I'd like to speak to a few of the items on the report. First, I'll start with item 2, the response to petition for additional persons with disability change rooms at the Goodna Aquatic Centre. I just want to thank Mr Arnold for bringing this matter to our attention. He is the petitioner in this matter, and he did receive quite a deal of community support. The problem being at the pool there that Mr Arnold and we understand some other people with disabilities are finding it difficult to access the disability change room that exists at the pool. He did request an increase in the number of those change rooms. However, an investigation has found that it would appear that people without disability are using the disability change room, I should say, which is obviously making it more difficult for people like Mr Arnold to access. So the recommendations that are contained within the report today state that the report be received and noted. Council, in partnership with the Aquatic Centre, improve the signage there to clearly articulate to other people and patrons that it is for persons with a disability and not for others. Although we have asked the staff within the council to try and understand why that is the case, that people without a disability are using a toilet, and we hope to get that information back in the future. And also, one of the recommendations is that the petitioner be advised, and we'll continue discussing the matter with him and it will be reviewed again in October of next year. Item 3, if I may, Mayor, the e-scooter pilot. The recommendation there is that we retain the existing pilot in the Springfield area. However, their request to expand into Ipswich Central is not something we wish to entertain at this stage. Having just come back from the local government conference in Brisbane, Mayor, where I had to walk a ways to get to my accommodation, the number of scooters that I saw in use and proliferating the area is a bit of a cause for concern, but particularly the usage. I still feel that, particularly in our CBD area, the Ipswich Central area, that the use of scooters is somewhat of a safety concern. And more importantly, I don't even believe that the Queensland legislation has caught up with the need to adequately police the usage of these e-scooters. And until such time as that happens, I don't think I would feel confident in allowing them within our CBD area. So that is the recommendation in relation to that matter. Item 4, I know that Councillor Madden is probably likely to speak to this matter as it relates to his division. And more importantly, I also would like to congratulate our outgoing, or our former Councillor Cullen, who was also involved in those discussions with Mr Madden to bring this to this stage here. And I believe, Mayor, that is, sorry, item 9, the renaming of Fale Park. Just again, I'd like to commend the resident, Miss Alison Lewis, who brought this matter to my attention. The park is already named Fale Park, but she and some of the residents would like consideration of the name to include Barry and Joan, who no longer live in that area, the property being bought back through the buyback program, the flood buyback program. However, we are in the recommendation suggesting that we go out to community consultation and that the results of that consultation will come back to a future meeting. That is all I wish to speak to at this stage. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Antonelli. I appreciate you providing that. That's a very good summary and highlights. I think if you go to the council committee meeting, you'll see there was quite a long discussions on the committee day on all those matters, if I refer to it. But I think Councillor Antonelli mentioned that, Councillor Mann, you wish to speak to item 4?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Antonelli, for inviting me to speak about item 4 of the report, which concerns a change to the fencing arrangements at the dog off leash area at Crib Park at North Ipswich. Dog off leash areas are becoming, in my experience, a much more important issue with regard to our residents, particularly our residents living in units and limited accommodation. And we have an excellent dog off leash area at Crib Park at North Ipswich. Unfortunately, it only allows one area, so we don't separate small dogs from big dogs. But it is quite a good park, and former Councillor Cullen and myself received a number of requests for shaded area in that park and more seating. And one of my residents came to me with a proposal that the fence around the dog off leash area be reconfigured so that a picnic table area, which is undercover, which is adjacent to the park, the fencing be changed so that that's incorporated within the park, which was an excellent suggestion. I spoke to council officers and was advised that it was very feasible, and that's what this item 4 deals with, a provisional project providing funding for the fencing around the Crib Park dog off leash area be rearranged so that it incorporates a picnic table that's adjacent to the dog off leash area, and that'll deal with the 2 requests for more seating and shade within that dog off leash area. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Madden. I'll open up for any other discussion. Yes, Councillor Tully.
Thank you, Mayor. There's 2 items I'd like to speak to. One, both of them already raised by the Chair. Item 2, which is at the Goodna Aquatic Centre. This has been a bit of an ongoing situation. This is the centre at Brisbane Terrace at Goodna. The associated issue is the sufficiency or otherwise of the disabled parking in the parking area adjacent to the pool area. and the issue of persons who don't necessarily have to use the disabled toilets area are doing so. At the committee meeting, councillors will recall, I had an additional paragraph D inserted into the recommendation, which is being considered today, and that is to review this entire matter by October 2025. That is just when we make these changes, just to ensure that the matter just doesn't go on the never, that it's an opportunity in 12 months' time just to review and to reconsider whether or not any further improvements can be made, and whether or not what we're proposing today and voting on is accepted by the community. The other is the e-scooter trial at the moment, which is continuing at Springfield Central and including the suburbs of Springfield Lakes, and it's around the Orion Shopping Centre principally. That pilot, according to the operators of that, has been successful, but I do agree there are issues in relation to the positioning or the placement or abandonment of some of these scooters on footpaths, on walkways, across the carriageways, at pedestrian crossings, which do raise a safety issue. The request for the trial to be extended into the CBD raises quite different issues from those at Springfield Central, and we know about the narrowness of the footpaths in the CBD, outdoor dining in the CBD, the high pedestrian population in the CBD, and I think the council is making the recommendation not to extend the trial to Ipswich Central at this stage. And I think the jury's out with the community generally, not only in Ipswich but around Australia and New Zealand. Recent publicity in relation to scooters, safety issues, injuries which are occurring. And whether or not all cities, and I know in some of the European countries, their councils are pulling back on the e-scooters. Recalling, of course, that all of the scooters aren't necessarily from commercial operators. There's those who own them individually, and as Councillor Antonelli said, the traffic laws in Queensland probably haven't kept up to date with how to police on foot chase someone who's just riding their private scooter, which in many cases have been manipulated to take away any speed restrictions. So I'm fully supportive of the recommendation 3, not to increase the trial at this stage, but it's an ongoing matter, and I guess as other parts of the city develop, particularly the Ripley Valley, it'll come back on the agenda for those parts of the city about whether or not the residents want them or need them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. Just quickly in relation to item 2 as well, and I thank Councillor Antonelli and Councillor Tully for bringing it up, but I just wanted to repeat what happened in the committee when we asked about if there was any footprint of the building that could be retrofitted to a second accessibility change room, and the officer took that on notice to review. Because obviously there is cost implications with, extending the building, etc. So the other option would be to look at, the space already there provided and retrofitting to have more than one change room. So I just wanted to note that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Open up for anyone else? No? Look, I spoke about, I think, most of these matters at the committee meeting, but it's supportive of the response from the organisation on the petition. With the e-scooter pilot, before coming mayor, I worked in Brisbane for 6 years, and I can tell you now, the amount of times you nearly get collected up by scooters on those narrow footpaths, it is very different in the CBD to Springfield, which has those wider footpaths. And I noted in the committee meeting too, we also have an ongoing issue with the, with shopping trolleys being thrown over the David Trumpy Bridge. The last few years, council has spent about $8,000 each year fishing those out, even though they are the responsibility of the shopping centres. And my concern is that some of those scooters will be thrown over there. And as you know, it's a TMR bridge, so we've asked for guardrails to be put there, and they won't due to the engineering perspective. There's the wind is too much weight to put guardrails up there. So yes, I'll be supporting the recommendations in here. I'll just hand over to Councillor Antonelli as the chair, as a right of reply. No one spoke against it, but do you have any other words you'd like to say before putting it to the vote?
Yeah, just to again thank the councillors for their words, particularly just reference to Jim Madden and that item. I think it was item 4. He took me out on site to show me what would be happening there. It is I think going to be well valued by the community once that is undertaken. And just to reaffirm the matter of item 2, I guess the real question here is why are people without disability using the disability change rooms? And that's something that we do need to get some information on. There may be some real reasons why that is happening, and we may need to make some other changes as well. But the fact that Councillor Tully did suggest, and we all agree, that the matter needs to be reviewed in the next 12 months, we may be able to find that out during that time, if not before.
Thank you. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. We now move on to item 15.2, which is the Finance and Governance Report. And just before I hand over to you, the chair of that report, I know there's been some discussion on an item, and it's part of the reason why we have a bit of a two-pass process. We have committees before the final decisions are made in council. And one of those items, item 7, I'll just bring up the name of it, is the proposed acquisition of land on Ripley Road, upgrade the Cunningham Highway to Fisher Road. We've had some feedback from residents on that, so as per my email, if we could separate that out, I'll hand over to you, Chair, on how this report will be managed.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I move the Finance and Governance Committee report number 2024 in brackets 05 of the 15th of October 2024 be received, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted with the exception of item 7, which I will move separately.
Thank you very much. I'll second that. I'll hand over to you yourself as the mover, Councillor Tully.
Just one item that I'll speak to is item 2. It was the first of the officers' reports considered by the committee. It relates to the Redbank and Collingwood Park sports complex in Smiths Road at Redbank, opposite the Redbank Plaza. The recommendation is for an extension of the lease for a period of 10 years. This is a centre that's highly used, probably not by me, as people may guess, but the existing operator, who's the recommended successful tenderer for that next decade, is proposing $200,000 worth of capital upgrades as part of the tender process, and $300 worth of additional equipment, which they will be entitled to retain at the end of the tenancy. So I'm very pleased that this matter is coming to the council today. People often ask about it, what's the future of it? It is well known, it can be seen from the Ipswich motorway. Interestingly enough, it's part of the original Redbank rifle range, which was owned by the Commonwealth Government up until about 1985. It's 200 hectares in area, the entire Redbank rifle range, which except for this development is still untouched, and it was the largest amount of bushland between Ipswich and Brisbane on the Ipswich motorway, which was still in its original state from around World War I, when it became a rifle range, until the 1980s. So I'm very pleased that this is coming before the committee, before the council today, as I said, to adopt the recommendation from the committee to engage and to complete this contract.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. As the seconder to this, I'd like to discuss item 8, which is the renewal of the expenditure lease of a freehold land for kiosk 1 at the Carolina Shopping Village. Basically, it's an extension of the library pod, the very popular library pod that's won a number of awards. Its annual rent there is just over $25,000 a year, and I think when I do the numbers, it works out to about $1.60 per borrowing. It is very popular in Carolee. Love for more residents to be involved, but yeah, great to see that there. Obviously, myself and Councillor Madden regularly attend the Carolee Community Association and other Carolee community group meetings, and the library pod is very much well loved, and obviously they've got a few more estates in there as well, so hopefully there'll be a few more borrowers there as well. I'll open it for any other discussion of that report. Councillor Madden.
Mayor, just following on from what you've said, the pod at the Carolee Shopping Centre, which is actually located in the suburb of Chua, that is called the Carolee Shopping Centre, is often raised at the Carolee Community Association's meetings, and we know that it's well received and well used by residents of the area. And I think it's a model that could be used in other areas that are lacking in a library, and it might be something council consider in future meetings. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councillor Tully, anything as a reply before we get a vote?
I will, thank you. And that item 8 is, and councillors might recall, I think it was 30 square metres in area, very small. A big roof, a small area, but it does show that this council is trying to get library facilities throughout the community. And of course, we've got the larger libraries in the community. It always raises the issue, which we've discussed, what will be the future of libraries in 10 or 20 years? I don't see much diminution of library usage in older people, younger people. And I know the internet people say will mean the closure of libraries. I don't believe that at this stage. I think they become a community event, an opportunity for young people in particular, and the events that they have there. And I know this one, the pod, is quite specialised in relation to the items which are borrowed. But it's just an opportunity, I guess, for the community to be aware of this. And I think there are many other opportunities as the city develops for similar sorts of pods initially in our local areas across the city.
Thank you. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. Now, item, I think, 7 of that report. Councillor Tully, do you wish to move that? Or?
Yes, Mayor,
I'm happy to second that.
Yeah, I'll move the adoption of that report. I'll just move that to start with.
Thank you. So moved, I've seconded it, and so we can discuss it and deal with it.
I think there needs to be discussion with the relevant officers, and I believe that it might be an opportunity. We should close the meeting for the possible legal issues involved. I'm prepared to move that the meeting be closed under section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to discuss a matter pertaining to legal issues affecting the council.
So I'm just checking it.
There may be
which
other
paragraph under J? That'll be E of that paragraph.
Yes.
Yep. It's a procedural motion, so put that. Oh, sorry. I'll second that. Put that to the vote. Those in favour to go into closed session? It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. Thank you. It's now 10:01 and we've just come back from a closed session to discuss a legal matter in regards to item 7 of the Finance and Governance Report 15.2. So can I just ask people to be, as they come in, to be quiet? Thank you. We've had that discussion. Councillor Tully, did you have a motion that you wish to?
Yes, I have a procedural motion which I'll move that item 7 be deferred for further consideration today after item 17, agenda item 17 on the agenda.
Thank you. I'll second that. Any discussion? I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? So, okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. So that was item 15.2 that's been done. I know it's just after 10 o'clock, so I'll move that we go into morning tea for 30 minutes. I'll come back at 10:30. I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. We'll see you back here at 10:30. Thank you. We'll do the countdown again. We're live now? Thank you. Welcome back to the Ordinary Council meeting of the 24th of October 2024. It's now 10:31 and we're up to item 15.3, which is the report of the Community and Sport Committee of the 15th of October 2024. And I've had it highlighted, the chair of that report, that I think there were two matters on that were seconded by Councillor Doyle. I think he was sitting here as an observer. So I'll hand over to you, Chair. How would you like this report managed?
Yeah, I'll split items 1 and 2 away from 3 and 4 as per the recommendation on the screen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So you'll move that.
Yep.
Could I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move up for discussion. Councillor Madsen.
Yeah, I'll just refer to it as read. The committee meeting was a good meeting last week. A number of good reports. Yeah, I'll leave it in the hands of the council.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor is the seconder. Do you wish to make any comment?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Open for further discussion on items 1 and 2. In that case, I'll put that matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. Councillor Madsen, you would like to move. How would you like to manage items 3 and 4 of that report?
I'll just move items 3 and 4 together, the Community and Cultural Services to 2024 report card and the Customer Experience report.
Okay. I'll just check with the, if I could, I'll second that, thank you. I'll just check with the Secretariat. I've got here that how we should manage. I suggest to move items 3 and 4 again to ensure a correct record and make a notation in the minutes of the Community Sport Committee. So is moving us noting this now enough for the records? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that's been items 3 and 4 have been moved and seconded. I'll open them up for discussion.
Well, similar to the last one, just refer to them as read. Two very good reports. Yeah, leave it in the hands of the council.
Thank you. I'll open it for discussion. I think there was a lot of discussion on the Community and Cultural Services report card and the Customer Experience report, as well as the amount of funding that has gone out to different community groups as well. So it's quite a good status report card, and thank you to the organisation for their support in getting that funding out to community and sporting groups. I guess as the mover, Councillor Mazza, do you wish to say anything in reply before we move to a vote? Nope. Okay, in that case, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. I now move on to item 15.4, which is the report of the Economic and Cultural Development Committee for the 15th of October. I'll hand over to the chair of that committee to see how she would like that report managed.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like the report of the Economic and Cultural Development Committee 2024/05 to be received and adopted.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Open up for discussion. Councillor Augustine is the mover.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I just would like to talk to a couple of things on the report. Firstly, the report of the Ipswich Arts Advisory Group. I think this report was quite concise, and I really commend everyone that contributed to this report. It was great to see that there's a group that are there for the sporting organisation, got sport on the brain, the arts community. I think there's this, the leaders of our arts community are really grouping together, and by the information in the report, it really is a testament to everyone that contributed. So I really think this is, we'll see really good outcomes going forward, and yeah, so I commend everyone who contributed. Then the Spartan trifecta, we're contributing $20,000 to this event next year. I'm really interested in this event because I'd like to go and watch people move those big balls, the massive, carry them. I'm intrigued that people can lift those things and run with them from, pillar to post. But additionally, I would also like to see the venue, Ivory's Rock. Went for a tour around there, and I really think that there's opportunity for us to further develop our events and grow our portfolio for our economic, drive our economic bottom line going forward. I'm really interested in that one, and thank you for bringing this one, I think, to the table, to the officers in, I think it was Miss Gregory that brought this one, and that was, I'm really impressed on that one. And then just all the leases as well through the Nicholas precinct. We had a number of them come through, and some of them with quite, good substance there. So, we just got to keep going, and they were very good. So I'm interested to see how that all folds out with the lead up to our opening of our precinct for the next month, I think, or whenever that happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. The seconder, do you wish to make a comment on the report?
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'd just like to note the public record. Councillor Augustine, I do think during committee you and the Deputy Mayor actually confirm you would be in training to participate in Spartan. So noting it's on the public record, ladies, look forward to seeing the results. But no, in all seriousness, we'd just like to also highlight the work of the Nicholas Street precinct team, the leasing team, and the swag of leases that came to committee was very, very exciting. And the brands that NSP, that Ipswich is attracting, is so exciting, and they're brands we haven't seen here before. So that is a really good, strong indication of the confidence in Ipswich's market. So I too am looking forward to the precinct opening up.
Thank you, Councillor Madden. So, Councillor Madden.
Thanks, Mayor. Just didn't want to jump in case somebody was ahead of me.
It's okay.
I'd just like to follow on from what Councillor Doyle said and congratulate the leasing team. It's so pleasing to come to each of these meetings and see more and more properties in the Nicholas Street precinct being leased out. And just as an example, I'm very pleased to see the old Commonwealth Bank building being completely leased out. It's just great for the future of Ipswich. I'm old enough to remember when Nicholas Street was a vibrant place, when there were lots of shops, and I'm looking forward to returning to that in a slightly different way, more of an entertainment way rather than a commercial way. But it is very pleasing to come to each of these meetings and see more and more leases for premises in the Nicholas Street Mall.
Thank you, Councillor. Sorry, Deputy Mayor, did you wish to speak?
No, I'm just after a team now for Spartan. Anyone's interested?
I believe you now carry those big boulders.
Anyone athletic that can drag us over?
Apparently Councillor Tully's going to start up his gym membership again.
Councillor Tully can be the water boy. Orange boy.
I'll cut some oranges up with you, Councillor Tully. So can I... Speaking of this, I'm really pleased with item 2 of the Ipswich Arts Advisory Group. To see that develop and build is quite exciting, and we're obviously expanding it. I think also the group know that council's listening to them. They've provided really great advice, and I think it's been a really great, community consultation body, and I really appreciate them. That they work very side by side with us, and appreciate council's team there working with them. Delighted to see 6 new leases come through. Let's see how they go in their final negotiations, but delighted to see those 6 new leases come through. But also the Ipswich Hotel Investment Prospectus. The incentives proposed in this prospectus include a 50% reduction in infrastructure charges, compressed development application timelines, and a waiver of charges of up to $1 million for delivery for up to 200 units, with agreement from council for their achievement of the incentive and a complete waiver of minimum parking standards. We've had a lot of inquiries over the past few years why the venue building on the corner of Brisbane Street and Ellenborough Street, which council has redeveloped, was not utilised for residential or hotel accommodation, and that comes back to what investors have told us. There has been a lack of parking, a lack of viability and ability to build additional parking on the site that has prohibited investors from being interested in moving forward, and also for the returns at this stage. So hopefully we're positioning ourselves well for future years where it is more viable for residential and short-term accommodation in our CBD as well. Really excited to see the venue building will be opening up in the top part of the Nicholas Street precinct, where we'll see Hoyts and other general public and so on will be opening up before the end of the year. And we do need to be actively prioritising the hotel investment and planning levers and incentives on this prospectus as we open up these facilities, as these new ventures open and get a lot of media. It's a great opportunity for us to make sure we get a great return for ratepayers, as well as having a lot of fun, especially leading up to Christmas. Is there any other discussion? Yes, Councillor Doyle.
Sorry, Mayor, given your commentary around the hotels strategy, if I may just
Please.
add to that, I note during the LGAQ conference there was a really great session on the housing crisis, but also the economic drivers or not behind development, including high density inner city residential. And the impacts of development feasibility, including the macroeconomic factor and local market conditions, local realisation of values. Buyers are going to be willing to pay what it's going to cost these developers to build. So it was a really, really good, informative session, and there was lots of healthy discussion. So I'm sure if we continue to be a little bit more patient, we will see off the back of council's investment here, the retail and commercial development, it'll certainly be more appealing to developers and prospective buyers who they're going to buy in a high rise. They want easy accessibility to restaurants and a nighttime economy, as we all saw staying in Brisbane the last couple of nights. Yeah, so I look forward to Ipswich Central awakening. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Yes, I think Bull and Bear Economics, and there was another couple of economists were very, very strong on this. So I think this is probably timed well. Thank you. Any other discussion? Thank you. Councillor Augustine, as the mover, do you have a vote of reply, or we'll go straight to the vote? Okay, thank you. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 15.5, which is the report on the Environment Sustainability Committee report. And I think we're probably going to put one of these matters, I think item 2, I'll hand over to the chair of that committee, how he would like this report managed.
Thanks very much, Chair. As Chair of the Environment Sustainability Committee, I move that the Environment and Sustainability Committee report number 2024 in brackets 05 dated 15 October 2024 be accepted as a block with the exception of item 2, which concerns Council's membership of Healthy Land and Water, and I move that this item be held over to a future Council meeting to allow Council, in consultation with the councillors, to undertake community consultation and consider all relevant matters, including the membership status of our neighbouring councils of Healthy Land and Water.
Right, okay, so we'll deal with all matters except item 2.
That's it.
Okay. I'll see that you've moved that. I'll second that. I'll open up for discussion. Do you wish to speak to those other, yes, items 1 and 3?
Thanks very much, Mayor. I'd like to thank those residents who have contacted me with regard to the issue of Council's membership of Healthy Land.
So just we're just talking about items 1 and 3.
Oh, item 1 and 3.
So, yeah, we'll
Thanks,
get to
Mayor.
item 2, yep.
That's fine.
So do you wish to speak to the minutes or the board appointments of Greenovate?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to say a few words about
Yes,
item 3.
please.
I'd like to, regarding item 3, I'm very pleased to see progress being made to the establishment of a materials recovery centre, otherwise known as a MRF, which council will operate in partnership with Redland and Logan councils. Residents should be aware that this will mean that the contents of yellow top bins in the future will be processed at a facility jointly owned by Ipswich Council, Logan Council and Redland Council, and will move away from the current arrangements where the contents of yellow top bins are processed by a private contractor. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion on that matter? No, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. I think now we're going to look at item 2, which is the Ipswich City Council membership to Healthy Land and Water. And I think that's where you said, did you have an amendment or did you want to, I guess, have a discussion? I guess I'm just concerned about the community consultation. I'd rather ask, I guess, a few council officers a few questions first, if that's okay. Or?
Does my motion stand as I read out, Mayor?
Well,
Oh,
no, I guess it's not the motion that's been put forward.
Okay.
Do you mind if we ask council officers a few questions first?
That's fine. Yeah.
Yep. I wouldn't mind asking council officers, I guess, a question in regards to, again, it's great to have these committee reports, but I think just to talk about the scorecard, if I could ask.
Through the chair, if I may, can I just clarify? So what we have at the moment is a motion to accept item 2 of the report.
So the motion hasn't been put yet because we're asking questions. So we can ask questions of council officers before a motion is put. And as the chair, I can obviously manage that a bit. I just have concerns.
Yeah, no
with
worries. I was just seeking clarification.
Yeah,
thank you.
You'll have to say your name and your job title, please. Ms. Kavanagh.
Kay Kavanagh, General Manager, Environment and Sustainability.
Yep. Ms. Kavanagh, do you mind outlining, I saw some discussion in the media and I guess our report could have shown, but by leaving the Healthy Land and Water partnership like many other South East Queensland councils have, will that scorecard still occur?
Yes, the scorecard is a regional program that's run through the state government and contracted through Healthy Land and Water. Primarily the funding is through state government funding and urban and the utilities, water utilities, as well as some council funding that supports that program as well. But I believe the program will continue as is without council's funding if we went down that path.
So I know, Ms. Kavanagh, that last month council approved to double the funding we currently pay for waterways initiatives. How will that be managed? How will council be managing that? Tendering, how much is in-house? I mean, what will happen there?
So part of the report that we put forward was to propose the funding that we provide to the regional program to do a local water quality monitoring program. That would give us some more localised, targeted assessment of our waterways and waterway health. Through that, we've also been engaging in conversations with the state government to see how we can, I guess, nest that monitoring program into the broader regional program. So there would be elements of that we would still contribute to the regional program, but through our local monitoring. The dynamics of that are yet to be firmed and continue discussions, but we are underway in those discussions with the state government.
Okay. So I guess there's some concern in the community. Are we reducing our commitment to our waterways and catchment areas?
No, we wouldn't be reducing commitment to waterways and catchments. We're continuing to grow that through our local programs, but also additional partnerships through the Resilient Rivers Initiative, which came to Council last month. We would continue to engage with Healthy Land and Water on other programs, such as, at the moment, we're talking to them around koala, habitat assessment and data share arrangements with them around our own data on koala as well. But as far as the funding that this particular report is about, is our contribution towards the regional ecosystem health monitoring program.
Okay. And just, Ms. Kavanagh, Council's partnership payment is about $100,000 a year. How will that money be used instead of going to Healthy Land and Water?
We'd be looking to go to market to work with a consultant to do our local monitoring program. So we'd do that through a procurement process.
Was that a value for money process or was there another reason? Or
Primarily, well, I guess we did test the value for money through a market process, but it was also that we could direct it and have, I guess, a level of control of where those monitoring points would be within our local waterways and our catchments. Under the regional program, there's set monitoring points, and as mentioned, those monitoring points will continue still in the regional program, but we'd be able to look at where we can localise that for actions that we are taking on ground, so we can assess, I guess, the investment potential of those actions that we're doing for our own waterways. And that can then feed back into the regional program as well.
Thank you. Are there any other questions of Ms Kavanagh? No, thank you, Ms Kavanagh. Thank you for clarifying.
If I may.
Oh, sorry, you do, sorry.
So at this stage, we don't know, in engaging this external contractor, what that cost will be.
We haven't gone to market at this stage, no.
So it could invariably be more than the 100,000?
Sorry, I've just got a nod from manager in the, sorry, Phil?
Yeah, we can choose. So we can,
Sorry,
yeah,
I'll have to
it
ask
wouldn't be
Mr
his,
Smith to
yeah,
come to
sorry.
the lectern as well. If you could come up to there.
Apologies.
No, I don't apologise.
Thank you, Phil Smith, Manager Natural Environment. We're currently working with some consultants to have a range of options for our monitoring programme, but it will be dictated by how much we want to invest. Monitoring programmes are as long as a piece of string. Generally, if you want it for your own purposes, they could cost you $10,000 a year, it could cost you $100,000 a year. What we want to ensure is that we have something that sufficiently monitors and gives us feedback on the level of investment we're having in our waterways. So currently on the scale that we invest at breach-based stabilisation projects, some of you will have seen, revegetation, we don't know whether that investment's giving us our return in terms of the environmental impacts we're having. So we're trying to design a monitoring programme that can feed that back and say, yep, this is working and this isn't working. So the actual cost will be up to us, and we'll have a range of options essentially and parameters, and the scalability of that will be up to us. So we could certainly fit it within what we currently pay in Healthy Land and Water and have more detailed high resolution information, or we could scale it back if we choose to, or we could potentially invest more depending on where we are from a financial perspective. Thanks. Thank you.
Just another question. Have we done any consultation with any stakeholder groups, river improvement groups, other groups that may benefit from partnership or utilisation of grants and the like from Healthy Land and Water? There are a number of sustainability and environmental groups in Ipswich who have raised concerns about this, but there doesn't appear to have been any consultation as to whether whether we should continue with them or not.
No, there hasn't been any specific consultation in regards to this particular matter. We do engage with the groups on various other activities and actions that we do, but we haven't done specific targeted consultation on this particular matter.
And we've also heard some hearsay that some of the other councils may or may not have left Healthy Land and Water.
Yep.
We don't know the reasons for that, do we?
Similar, through officers, and Phil has mentioned that we do engage with networks with other council officers.
Understood.
That talk through our engagement with Healthy Land and Water as well as other entities, and primarily it's around that value proposition for what we are getting back for our contribution and how that's being applied at a local council level. Yep.
Yeah, sorry if I may. Gold Coast pulled back about 2 or 3 years ago because the waterways for them are fundamental to their economy, as you'd imagine. Gold Coast is built up around people using their waterways. They weren't necessarily feeling that they were getting what they required in terms of understanding the water quality and the waterway health because of the amount of money that's invested in that area for people using recreational water. So they went away and they've got their own programme of water quality monitoring that suits their needs. So it's a similar argument to what we've put forward, I suppose, in that regard. And that was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Ms Kavanagh and Mr Smith? No, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming up to the lectern and going into that detail. We're at that stage where we look at a motion, and I guess the current motion before us is that Council adopt the recommendations of that particular, I'll just look that up. The recommendation of that report was that council resolves to cease its membership of Healthy Land and Water and no longer make an annual financial membership payment. And I guess we can't speak to it until something is moved. So I know you've got something else before you. I guess I had a little few issues with the community consultation with what's a procurement matter. So I guess I'd like to move what's here. No, and maybe you'd be the seconder. That way we could sort of work on something to amend it as we discuss things. Would you be open to that, Councillor Madden?
Move.
Yeah. Well, as the chair, I'll move that council resolves to cease its membership of the Healthy Land and Water and no longer make an annual financial membership payment. I'll look for a seconder purely so we can discuss it and we could discuss amending things as well. If I could. Anyone seconding? Thank you. Purposes. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I appreciate that. Okay. I guess in speaking to this, and I see that we're not backing away from our commitment to our waterways and catchments. In fact, the exact opposite. Last month, we approved to more than double the funding. I'm going to reiterate, double the funding that we currently pay to Healthy Land and Water for the Resilient Rivers Initiative, which places South East Queensland councils as the decision makers on how that combined funding will be invested in our catchment areas, rather than outsourcing it with high overheads. This report demonstrates that we need to invest where there is the most value for money for our ratepayers by providing local ongoing improvement and monitoring at a scale which provides meaningful feedback to guide targeted future investment. I think it's really important to note that the Healthy Land and Water scorecard will continue for our catchment area, and this is a matter of us trying to find value. Deputy Mayor, do you wish to speak to it, or
No, I
Not at this
reserve my
stage.
right to speak,
Or
but
reserve your right.
interested in discussion around the table.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'll just ask Councillor Madden, obviously you would like to move an amendment or discuss a bit further?
Well, there is one thing I'd like to discuss, and it's an issue about what other councils are members of Healthy Land and Water. And looking at the Healthy Land and Water website, the current council members, Brisbane City Council, Gold Coast Council, Ipswich City Council, Lockyer Valley Council, Logan Council, Moreton Bay Council, Redland Council, Scenic Rim Council, Somerset Council, Sunshine Coast Council. They seem to have confidence in Healthy Land and Water, and until we receive some cogent reasons why our membership should cease, I won't be supporting us removing ourselves as members. But in saying that, Mayor, I prefer that this matter be held over to a future council meeting. And I'm prepared to move an amendment to the motion to that effect.
Okay, thank you, because I do that there are a number of councils that have left, but obviously their website hasn't been updated.
No, well,
Yep.
I can only go...
What amendment would you like to propose?
The amendment I'd propose is that council's membership of Healthy Land and Water be held over to a future council meeting to allow council, in consultation with councillors, to undertake community consultation and consider all relevant matters, including the membership status of our neighbouring councils of Healthy Land and Water.
Do you mind repeating that?
Yeah, sorry,
at a speed that the Secretary can...
No, I'll quite
The council membership of Healthy Land and
I'll
Water?
take the opportunity to second it if you want to take it up to
Actually,
the clerk.
If I could just say that I'll just check with the mover and the seconder first to see if they're happy to amend it. So before if you allow me to chair the meeting, that council's membership of Healthy Land and Water to a future meeting. What was the wording after
held
that?
over. I'll read it as slowly as I can, Vicky. It's fine. I quite understand. That council's membership of Healthy Land and Water
Yeah, that's done. To a future meeting.
be held over to a future council meeting to allow council in consultation with councillors.
Can I just stop for a minute?
Yeah.
For future council meeting. To allow council in consultation with...
Be held over to a future council meeting to allow council in consultation with councillors to undertake community consultation and consider all relevant matters, including the membership status of our neighbouring councils of Healthy Land and Water. And that's the motion, Mayor. And I'd
May I
ask
ask you in that second row, council, to do a lowercase c, because it's, we are the council. Yeah, thank you. So, as it stands, it says that council's membership of Healthy Land and Water be held, hang on, there should be, is there a word missing? Okay. That council's membership of Healthy Land and Water be held over to a future council meeting to allow council, in consultation with councillors, to undertake community consultation and consider all relevant matters, including the membership status of our neighbouring councils of Healthy Land and Water. Just as the mover and the seconder, my only thing is that community consultation for what is essentially a procurement matter, where we're looking at value for money. That's my only... but I guess we can define what community consultation is.
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, if I can just make comment on that. Myself and Councillor Antonelli have received correspondence from groups and individuals, and I'm sure we'll be conservative. Councillors will be conservative in what we mean by community consultation.
I'm happy for us to go. I'm in that case, I'm happy. Are you, Deputy Mayor, happy with that amendment? So thank you. That is the live amendment here. I guess that's a live amendment. I'll open it to you, Councillor. Do you wish to speak a little bit more to that, the motion that's before us now?
Yes, Mayor, just a couple of words. I would like to thank those residents who have contacted me about this important issue, which concerns Council's membership of Healthy Land and Water, and they have raised with me matters that weren't considered when this matter came before the committee meeting recently. That's all I wanted to say, Mayor.
Anyone else like to make comment?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Lee.
Thank you, if I may. I must admit that I believe that we really do need to go out to particularly those relevant environmental groups in Ipswich who do either rely or utilise or have been involved with Healthy Land and Water over the years. Obviously, we've had a long relationship with what was Healthy Waterways, South East Queensland, now Healthy Land and Water. I would think that the community should be consulted, particularly those relevant groups that I mentioned, those environmental groups, to seek their input in our decision. I note that we'll still be getting the report card, and that is a very valuable thing to continue to receive. And I note from our officers that we are looking at more specific locations, which is good because we do need to see what our waterway improvement and water quality is like in all of our tributaries. But I must admit, I think that there is obviously some confusion. As I said before, we've only got hearsay evidence as to the connections between certain councils and Healthy Land and Water and their membership status. We do need to get some clarification on that and their reasons for no longer being involved. I also believe we need to get a presentation from Healthy Land and Water. If their model has changed, we need to fully understand what that model now is. If it doesn't suit us, then that may very well be a reason for discontinuing our membership. But one of the things that I do think we need to do in making a decision in relation to this is to ensure that we can prove to the community that what we do as a council in relation to our own recording and the like is transparent, is accountable and credible. And that's where I think the membership of the Healthy Lands and Water group is an independent body that people can retain some confidence in. So we really do need some more time around this decision. I think that the discussions we've had in the past meeting in the Environment and Sustainability Committee and even here today, I'm just not sure it's sufficient for us to make that decision here today.
Thank you, Councillor Antonelli. Any other discussion? I'd like to add something to this motion. When I first came to council in 2020, I called for a report on who is responsible for what, where and how in our waterways, because it does seem there's so many bodies. I think, I may not have the figures absolutely correct, but I think there are about 26 different regulations with 27 different bodies involved in waterways in our Bremer catchment here. So there's a lot of confusion. At the committee meeting, we went into closed session because we did discuss commercial and confidence reasons. The CEO did outline, I think at least one of the other councils that is not a member as well. I don't think it's practical. The other councils are going to have commercial and confidence reasons for not proceeding with their membership as well, so I don't think that would be viable. Just like, I guess for us, we were looking for a value for money, I guess, partnership there as well. But yeah, I'll be voting to support this motion, and I'll open it for any other discussion. I'll use that as my right of reply. We'll move into the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. And thank you, Councillor Madden. Pardon me while I go through my folders. Okay. On to item 15.6, which is the report of the Audit and Risk Management Committee of the 9th of October 2024. And does anyone have any questions of relevant council officers on this report? No, I'll move this. Do I have a seconder for it? I'll select Councillor Antonelli because you obviously sit on that committee. Open up for any discussions. Oh, no. Okay, in that case, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. We now move on to item 16.1, which is the CEO's Organisation Performance Report for the month of September 2024. Does anyone have any questions of the CEO? No, I'll move this report. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. In speaking to this motion, I guess I'll ask a question of you as well, CEO, if it's the Growing Workforce Participation Fund application. I'm looking at grants. And was there a reason why the Growing Workforce Participation Fund application was unsuccessful, or should I take that as a question on that notice? Or? I see that we put in for the Ipswich Regional Skills Plan Development.
Sorry, just one moment.
Yeah, sorry.
I get to it. Through you, Chair, I suspect we will have to take it on notice. If I could do that, thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. I guess want to highlight the significant matters. The new renewable energy commitment. We went to market to reduce our carbon emissions, and in a competitive tender, local business CleanCo, a government-owned corporation, won that competitive tender. So no, this building and other council buildings, including about 30,000 streetlights, are now being powered by Queensland renewable energy. All that energy is coming here from Queensland. So it's great to see. The renewable energy we source from wind farms in Western and Northern Queensland are provided by CleanCo, which is based in Swanbank. So this move will reduce the council's operational emissions by approximately 13,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide. So it's a fantastic step forward. Our Sustainable Ipswich festival, I think, was excellent that we had on the weekend, and the program over October, November has been fantastic as well. I'll open up for any other discussion on the report. In that case, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. (16.2), which is the Ipswich City Council 2025 Council and Committee Meetings Calendar. And so the report before us has a recommendation that the 2025 council and committee meetings dates and times be adopted as per attachment 1 below. I'd just like to highlight one date. There is a council committee meeting planned for the 31st of July. And that's the day of the Box Flat Memorial. So I'm just looking to change that. I don't know if you have a suggested date. Can I also highlight that's the exact same day too, I think Queensland Rail are having a celebration for 160 years of railway at the Grantchester Museum. So we'll have to chat with them as well. It's on the same day. But in the meantime, if we could move that to another day. Was there another day?
Can.
I think the Wednesday. I was looking for Wade. See what the.
Through the chair, if it looks like there may be a few different days changing, particularly with the QR one that you mentioned,
Well, that's
maybe
the same day, the 31st.
maybe we can seek an amendment at a later time and just accept the calendar as is until then.
Mayor, could I make a...
Yep, can you just give me, if I could just ask for 30 seconds, Grace, so I could just check the calendar for the 31st. I'm looking for the Wednesday, the 30th, what was happening there. I think it's tentatively the 30th of July is something, a date that I think could work for us. So if I could do the 30th, that's the day before, that gives us the flexibility rather than delay. But yes, okay, sorry, there was some other...
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's better to lock in a date in your calendar rather than changing it in March or April when other things have already crept into the calendar. So yeah. I'll support that.
So I can change the 30th of July. The only other thing I'd note, there's a meeting on, so I'm just looking in May, the council, in May, on the 29th of May, the Local Government Association of Queensland had their disaster management conference on the 27th, 28th, 29th of May. So that would be one day of that 3-day conference. So whether there'll be some people here that will be attending. That was the other conflict, but I guess we can manage that as well. So I would like to put forward as the chair that the 2025 council and committee dates and times be adopted as per attachment 1, noting the 31st of July is now the 30th of July, 2025. And that the recommendation stays as written. Any other dates? No. Well, thank you to the Executive Services team for working through. Sorry, Councillor Madden.
Perhaps the 30 July 2025 date should move down to Wednesday 9 a.m. as well, under 30 April 2025.
Yes. So when we do it, see how it's got the good pickup. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, well, I'll move that. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Any discussion? No, thank you. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. Now this is a longer item, so with quite a few motions. 16.3 is the council representation on external groups. And we have recommendations A through to O in the report, but I did send a few more to the Secretariat, I think O through to S, I think. And letting you know that council's had a discussion to just have a bit of a discussion amongst ourselves how we think this will go, but obviously the decision we made today. So based on that discussion that we had last week, I will put forward names based on what we had there, but obviously all things are open for discussion today. So I will move recommendation A, that council nominate Councillor Jim Madden as the Australian Horizons Foundation Ambassador. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Any discussion? I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. The next one is that council nominate one of its councillors as a council representative for the Bremer Catchment Association. I don't think we got to that one, so I'm not sure if anyone would like to nominate themselves. I think, Councillor Mann, would you be the natural, noting your portfolio, noting that everyone's very friendly there and they will welcome any of the councillors to attend.
Mayor, do they still meet at the at Queen's Park?
Not sure.
Sorry.
I usually meet them out at projects. Thank you. So I'll move that council nominate Councillor Jim Madden as council representative for the Bremer Catchment Association. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor John, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. C, that council nominate myself, because I'm a director of the Council of Mayors, and Councillor Pye Augustine as a proxy for the Council of Mayors Legacy Working Group. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Any discussion? Put that to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. The next one is the council nominate, it says one of our councillors to be a representative for the Council of Mayors Resilient Rivers Task Force. That's actually an incorporated body, so only the directors and alternative director can be on that. So that would be myself as the director and the deputy mayor, Councillor Johnick, as the deputy mayor. So they're the only ones legally that can be on that position. But I'll go through the vote here, if that's okay. I'll move that. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Doyle. Any discussion? I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. The next one is that council nominate one of its councillors as a council representative for the Council of Mayors Waste Working Group. Again, as the director, I'm on there. So could I nominate that myself, but also Councillor Jim Madden as the proxy for that Waste Working Group, as the chair of that relevant committee? Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Augustine. Any discussion? Thank you. I'll now call for the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. We now call for nominations for the councillors as representative on the Domestic and Family Violence Prevention Council Champions Network. So I'd like to nominate Councillor Marnie Doll, Councillor Jacob Madsen and Councillor Pye Augustine as the councillor representatives there. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Madden. Any discussion? Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. The next one we have here is that council, one of its councillors as a council representative for the Westmoreland Obesity Advisory Group. I don't actually have a nomination for that. Is there anyone? Health would normally fit in community. Community. And Councillor Augustine's putting a hand up for that. Anyone else like to nominate? No. Thank you. In that case, I'll nominate Councillor Pye Augustine as the councillor representative for the Westmoreland Obesity Advisory Group. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. You're getting a sore shoulder, Councillor Antonelli, all those. Item H, which is that council nominate one of its councillors as member of the Ipswich 2032 Legacy Working Group, and I'll nominate myself, Councillor Augustine and Councillor Madsen on that group. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Johnick, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Madsen.
The intention was for me to just be an observer of this group.
Okay.
So just correcting that.
I'm happy to accept that. Deputy Mayor, you happy to accept that? There's your observer. Yep. Any other discussion? I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Antonelli, are you? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Unanimous and carried. The next one is that council nominates representatives for the Ipswich District Neighbourhood Watch Committee.
Did we just skip one?
Did I miss one? Oh,
J.
sorry, apologies.
I and J.
The council nominate one of its councillors as the deputy chairperson for the Ipswich Local Disaster Management Group. How could I miss that? My understanding, I think last time we had two deputies. I think Councillor Augustine and Councillor Madsen were both looking at that two deputy roles. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm happy to nominate them.
Yes, thank you. So Councillor Augustine, Councillor Madsen. I move that. And did you wish to second that, Councillor?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Yeah.
It is deputy, yeah.
Like we did last time, yeah. So, thank you. I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. The next is the Ipswich District Neighbourhood Watch Committee. And I'd like to nominate Councillor Andrew Angelini and Councillor Marnie Doyle to that. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Augustine. Any discussion? Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. The next one is for the Ipswich Motorsport Precinct Advisory Group. And we nominate the Deputy Mayor, Nicole Jonick, as the Chair, Councillor Jacob Madsen as the Deputy Chair, and myself and Councillor Augustine as members of that.
Could you state those nominations again, please?
Yeah. So the Deputy Mayor, Nicole Jonick, as Chair. It's per the spreadsheet I think I sent to you last week. The Councillor Madsen is the Deputy Chair, and myself and Councillor Augustine. So I'll move that. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Madden. Any discussion? Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. L is that council nominate one of its councillors as the replacement council for the Scenic Valley Regional Road Transport Group, and we have a nomination from Councillor Madden. So I nominate that. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? No, put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. M is that council nominate councillors as a replacement councillors on the Sub-Regional Waste Alliance Steering Group. I just note that the only members of that group are mayors and CEOs, and anyone else would be an observer, and that's what we did last time, but they're the rules of that alliance. So I'll remain as a representative and I actually chair that body. And for Councillor Madden and Councillor Antonelli to be observers as the chair and deputy chair of the Environment Sustainability Committee. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you. And Councillor Antonelli, yes, as observers. Thank you. And so I think Councillor Antonelli, you seconded that, was that right? Yes, thank you. Any discussion? I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. We need nominations for the Civic and Ceremonial Event Working Group. So in discussion, we were looking at, pardon me while I get there. Myself and the Deputy Mayor to be on there. The chair of that particular committee, Councillor Augustine, but we also wanted to have all councillors. I think if any councillor wants to come in and out to that, that is our civic and ceremonial. So I think there was yes, the Mayor. Could you please point out, I guess, Councillor Augustine as the chair of that committee? Yep, so there. So comma after Deputy Mayor. And Councillor Augustine. Yeah, because he's chair. And
Chair, I know we're all more than aware that Councillor Jonick is the Deputy Mayor, but stylistically it should probably say Deputy Mayor Jonick.
Yeah, sorry, yes. Thank you. We'll just have Jonick because we only got first name, last names. Just to be consistent. Thank you. So I'll move that. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Augustine. Any discussion? Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. Next one is the Safe City Advisory Group. So I have quite a few nominations for this one. I have 5 councillors nominating. So Councillor Jacob Madsen, Councillor Marnie Doyle, Councillor Andrew Antonelli, Councillor Paul Augustine and Councillor Nicole Jonick. Sorry, Deputy Mayor Nicole Jonick.
If I may suggest, Mayor, I believe the substantive chair is Jacob for
Councillor Madsen.
the standing committee, relevant standing committee. So maybe the position of the committee chair be nominated, and then all of us as members.
I guess we haven't had a chair before. I haven't sat on that particular advisory group, so I'm not sure. I think Councillor Joy, you sat on it last term. Council Officer Larry. It's a council officer that chairs that.
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting the chair be the chair of the standing committee, but he is the standing committee chair that's relevant for that subcommittee.
Yep, and that's noted in the reporting in the next column. I guess in the spread that's the committee. So I'm not getting what you're saying because he's listed.
If I may, Chair, I think Councillor Antonelli wants it to be stylistically consistent with motion N.
Oh, I didn't see chairperson.
I'm trying to keep it consistent with the standing.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't see that chairperson was written on that previous motion. My apologies. So after that previous one, you've got Councillor Augustine. I guess we haven't gotten other ones either. May I suggest we just take away chairperson? Oh no, we've already approved that. Let's just add chairperson after Councillor. It is why I said his name first as well. So I'll move that. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Midden. Any discussion? Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous. And just pardon me while I get the email that I sent out to you all. Motion P, which is not on our things, but the council nominate one of its councillors as council representative for the City of Ipswich Defence Industry Development Attraction Committee, and I nominate myself for that role, to continue in that role. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. The Q will be the nomination for the Friends of Workshop Rail Museum Committee. So I nominate Councillor Jacob Madsen to retain that position. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? No. Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. That council nominate, I guess, myself and all the councillors to be members of the Ipswich City Council / Ipswich Urban Development Industry Association Branch Joint Working Group that meets a few times a year. So I think it should be open to any councillors, if that's okay. So do I have a seconder for that nomination? Thank you, Councillor Tully. Any discussion? Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. I think it's unanimous. And next, I know it's an external board, so it's up to them, but the council nominate one, Council nominate for Deputy Mayor Nicole Jonick to continue as the council representative on the RDA for Ipswich and Westmoreton Community Chair, where I think you're the Deputy Chair there now, Deputy Mayor. Thank you. So I'll move that. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Antonelli. Any discussion? No. Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. And thank you, Vicky. We now move on to item 16.4, which is the adoption of Ipswich City Council's annual report for 2023-2024. Does anyone have any questions of council officers on this report? No. In that case, I move that council adopt the Ipswich City Council annual report of 2023-2024 in accordance with section 104 of the Local Government Act and section 182 of the Local Government Regulations. Do I have a seconder for that?
Before we do that, Mayor, point of order, just a correction in the actual attachment itself on page 55.
I'll just... Before we do that, so I should say that this is a supplementary item that was distributed. So you're wanting to amend the motion or just part of?
Correction to the, an amendment to the actual attachment.
Right. Can we do that in discussion? Can I get it moved and, because I can't really discuss the matter.
Fair enough.
So if I can have it seconded, thank you, Councillor Doyle. Yes. After page 55?
Yep, page 55, you'll note it refers to memberships of committees subsequent to the council ordinary meeting of 23rd of May this year. Audit and Risk Management Committee appears to have been an unfortunate copy and paste from the last term. 55 oh, sorry, it is page 67 of the document, but of the meeting booklet, but it is page 55 of the attachment.
Yes, thank you. Good pick up. Councillor Kate Kunzelman.
So it'll be myself and the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So if we could note...
I'm happy to hand it back to Councillor Doyle and she so decides.
Get those 20 hours back a month. Okay. Page 67 of the actual committee. 67. Okay. Any other... So how do you want to move that? You will note that?
So firstly, apologies and good pickup. I guess we probably have to, because this covers the whole financial year, we probably need to make an adjustment to...
Oh, to just add them.
To add, yeah. So it's still an error, but we need to add, we need to recognise those that were members to appoint and then those that were members...
So if I, sorry, as the chair, I have the floor, please. Page 54 outlines the previous term and the previous committees. So I'd say what Councillor Antonelli has suggested is correct, and it's just that one on page 55 to have that updated to Councillor Nicole Jonick in brackets Deputy Mayor and Councillor Andrew Antonelli. So do I need to put that in a resolution or how would that happen, CEO? I can add it as a recommendation B.
One moment.
Yeah, sure. I'm just waiting for this. So if we could just wait, the CEO is going to give some advice.
Sorry, through you, Chair. Could we say subject to, so to adopt the annual report per the recommendation, subject to the addition of members?
Or the amendment, because those two names shouldn't be there. That's from the previous term. Oh, my apologies, yes. Sorry. So subject to page 55 being updated, that the Audit and Risk Management Committee members are Councillor Nicole Jonick, Deputy Mayor, and Councillor Andrew Antonelli.
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
I'll let you put that up there.
Maybe a couple more, Mayor. I'm now on the Economic and Cultural Development Committee.
When did that happen? Did that happen last financial year, or did it happen post-July or post-June?
I don't know. Probably post. But with regard to the Finance and Governance Committee, I'm on that committee as well.
So this is just a report till the 30th of June?
Yeah. My apologies, Mayor, for finding that. Sorry.
No, thank you. Eagle eyes.
I only just found it, admittedly, so...
It was always your own name.
You're nasty.
Okay. Rather than saying page 55 attachment 1, because it's actually page 67 attachment, so it's actually page 55 of the annual report. Thank you. Thanks, Vicky. Thank you. So I'll just read that out. The only addition is adding, subject to page 55, the annual report being updated to reflect Councillor Andrew Antonelli and Deputy Mayor Nicole Jonick as members of the Audit and Risk Management Committee for the current year.
Could I just
Sorry,
raise
no,
a-
from the committee
No.
from May, the 23rd of May 2024.
I'll have to, can we check that because what date was that resolved? Anyway, for the current term, could we say for the current council term perhaps?
For the current council term. In the annual report, it does say council standing committee structure for the new term resolved at the council's ordinary council meeting on the 23rd of May.
It was, that's right. Sorry, Penny, just
2024.
dropping. Yes, you're right, Mayor. My apologies again.
Through you, Chair, would it be better, rather than to specifically refer to that amendment, subject to minor corrections by the CEO?
Okay. That gives us a bit of leeway.
That way
we can go
it will
double check
cover-
those.
yes,
As long as you trust me,
Thank
yes.
you. Trust you, yes. Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Thank you.
Noting our very competent CEO, I'm sure would advise us by email if there were significant.
I will advise you
yeah.
of all changes regardless,
Yeah,
for the
thank
record.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
As the mover and the second, you and I are the mover and the seconder, so that is now the live motion. Any discussion on the annual report? If I could speak to the annual report, the council looks after over $4.1 billion worth of infrastructure assets, including roads, drains, facilities and open spaces to serve our community. The annual report of 2023-24 informs the community about how council has performed over the past financial year. Council is committed to transparent reporting and accountability to the community by showing how public money is being used to deliver services for our growing community. This year has been marked by milestones on significant projects and positive results securing essential funding as a result of Council's strong advocacy on behalf of the people of Ipswich. Our effective advocacy has secured major funding commitments from the state and federal governments, positioning Ipswich to advance critical projects like the North Ipswich Sport and Entertainment Precinct, securing a $40 million commitment across 3 levels of government to progress the first stage of this development is a significant achievement for our community. In addition, we have garnered substantial state and federal government funding, including $134.5 million for the Mount Crosby Road interchange on the Warrego Highway and $85 million to fix the Bremer River Bridge. The recent state budget also brought welcome news with additional funding for enhanced bus services across many of Ipswich's rapidly growing suburbs, including Ripley, Redbank Plains and Springfield. Council supported many opportunities to bring the community together to enjoy free events like the St Nicholas Precinct at Christmas that brought more than 48,000 people to the city heart. As the Nicholas Street Precinct redevelopment is almost completed, it's been an important driver in bringing civic pride back to the centre of our city. I eagerly anticipate the next chapter in our history as we shape a vibrant and inclusive city that honours its past while embracing new opportunities as we head into the future. I'll open up for any other discussion. In that case, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. It's, sorry, Councillor Tilley, did you put your hand up? Yes. Yes, thank you. Okay, it's unanimous and carried. Thank you. Okay. We'll now move on to item 17.1, which is the notice of motion to update to a meeting procedures policy. I'll hand over to you, Councillor Tully. You have a motion that you'd like to put forward.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that paragraph 9.4.4 of the meeting procedures policy be amended by inserting the following dot point at the end thereof: questions/general business.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Tully, as the mover, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. It's I think there's a gap in our procedures at the moment, and I'm particularly looking at the word questions, but general business is sometimes allied with questions. There's questions which are allowed at a council meeting currently and have been for a long time, but they're not permitted at a committee meeting. My view is that questions will often arise in one of our standing committees, one of our 5 standing committees, which are pertinent to the committee, of course, but can't currently be raised unless they're associated with a specific item coming before that particular committee. I think it's an opportunity to have that transparent and accountable flow of information from councillors seeking information on a genuine basis, from officers or from the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, or even other councillors who are permitted to have questions raised with them. I think it should be noted that our committees, none of our standing committees has any delegated powers. Committees can only make recommendations, and the purpose of this amendment is just to give that additional opportunity for councillors to raise topical current issues of interest and ones that might be able to be considered or even put on notice later. There's no ability, of course, to, unless standing orders were suspended, as they could be in any committee, to make actual recommendations, because it's just purely questions or general business. My view is that it's a real opportunity for councillors to have that additional opportunity to interact with officers. If officers or a council or yourself or any other committee chair can't answer a question, that can always be put on notice, and that's normal at other levels of government, just being put on notice and responded to later. I just make this general comment about bringing this provision in, which councils have, some with prescriptions related to them, that I just went through our 5 reports from the standing committees. Of those 5 reports considered today, there were 46 items which were all passed unanimously at each of the committee meetings, and I think that shows the respect and collaboration that we have. Now, the minutes don't always reflect that, as people know, but that's a pretty proud effort by a council which has gone through a lot in recent years, that we can collaborate on that. And I think today we've done the same thing, which is, there's been some changes and some deferrals, but that's through people acting in a professional way. And I think putting questions and general business as an additional item on the current meeting procedures. There's 9 there. This would be the 10th one, and it's just an opportunity to open up and canvass debate and opinions, perhaps, and seek information to assist us in our role as councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Chair. I support Councillor Tully's notice of motion. I think the introduction of general business and questions is a good addition and an important addition, yes, for transparency and good, healthy debate. I just want to note the record a couple of minor issues or concerns. Firstly, I would hate to see this item used or littered with minor operational questions that could and should be addressed via other methods we have available to us. I would hate to see the committee being used in such a way. And secondly, and what probably will be more of an issue, a regular issue for us, I think there'll be commercially sensitive or just sensitive matters. So we need to be mindful when asking those questions. We might need to go into closed session. I'd hate for those things to come up and then a decision to go into closed session because that, from the public's perception, that won't be transparent.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Any other discussion? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add that I think that any opportunity to talk things through, collaborate, and then get a better understanding from other councillors for meaningful discussion if there is something topical that we need to discuss, like the last time the issue was raised in our previous committees in relation to a planning matter. I think that should be encouraged, and because our committees are live streamed as well, I think that gives confidence to the community that we are more accessible and we are thinking and discussing topically on their behalf. So I thank Councillor Tully for bringing this motion.
Thank you. I have other discussion. Councillor Delly.
If I may, thank you, Mayor. We live in a time where everything has to be dealt with virtually immediately. Was lamenting the other day with somebody my discussion with former Deputy Mayor Kev Dwyer, who used to speak about receiving a complaint in the mail, forwarding it on through the records process and taking weeks, a couple of weeks for a response to come back. Now, we live in a time now where people send us an email and they want a response quite quickly. And I think that the way our committee structure currently is at the moment, we don't have the ability to discuss matters that are important and of public interest as they arise. Now, this is an opportunity for us to add greater transparency, greater accountability, and be able to give residents through our live streaming process, as well as people attending in the gallery, an opportunity to get updates on matters that may be, at the time, could be a major build, a major infrastructure project nearing completion. We can give updates virtually live in a meeting such as that. We can correct the record if something is put into the media, and if it is quite urgent, it can be dealt with at that time as well. Hot issues can be brought up, debated. As I said, matters of public interest. Councillor Tully raised a matter in our planning meeting the other day, which was time critical, and it was also of public interest, and certainly of interest to the councillors around the table. I think that we can get a bit carried away to a degree on what may or may not arise in these forums, in these general business discussions. But I think that all of us in the room here can bring matters up, and a good chairperson will be able to ensure that those matters don't get out of hand, excuse me, and ensure that the matter remains on topic, on point, and the meeting is not delayed with matters that aren't time critical or of public interest. If the matter can be referred back to the department, then I'm sure the chairperson will advise the councillor accordingly. I do support this. I think it's something that has been critically missing in our current committee structure, and I think it is of critical importance it be returned. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, Councillor Madsen?
I just wanted to welcome the amendment to the meeting procedures as well. I'll be voting in support of it. I think any more public discussion that we can have is good for the city. And I just wanted to touch on some of those concerns in that the council has the capacity to self-regulate here. Like if somebody proposes something in this and it's not determined appropriate, the committee can then resolve where it should go. So just we'll be able to form our own conventions on it, and I think it'll land quite nicely.
Thank you. I think as a council, we've worked really hard to ensure our committee meetings, our council meetings follow good governance by having policies and practices and meeting procedures, and we do follow those model meeting procedures and practices. And councillors and officers also have conduct protocols that are also in place, so that we have good process in place for making and implementing good decisions. We have won as a council last term 2 national awards for being the most transparent council in Australia. So I welcome anything that provides greater transparency and continue to lead the way. I note that most councils don't have a general business item. I did see a number of them do. And I guess I'll just ask you just a few questions about what that will be, just in relation to, I think Councillor Doyle touched on the fact of, if there's another way of getting that information, not bringing a whole heap of operational matters here. And I'm just very cognizant, no other level of government or other council would, put a council officer on the spot to answer a question about something that they've got no notice of or don't know what the topic's going to be, to call them up spontaneously to say, hey, so-and-so, can you tell us about this? So I'm just concerned about that, and I guess I'll probably lean towards the CEO to see how that would be managed. I guess even in the state and federal parliaments, when estimates are on, those senior public servants in the state and federal departments have got briefings. They are very senior in the organisation. They sort of know what's going to be happening and so on. So I just don't want to put council officers in that situation. I want them to feel comfortable that they can say, hey, can I take that question on notice? And I guess, I don't know if I'm being too sensitive there, but I just don't want to put council officers in the position where they're feeling that they have to answer something on live stream, off the cuff, on the spot, without any forewarning, is probably my concern. And it's certainly the concern that I've had a number of council officers raise with me since this notice of motion came out. So can I just put it, I noticed that Logan have, I think, quite reasonable guidelines, and I know I only emailed them about 8:35 this morning, so I apologise, but they actually had some parameters, so I'm quite keen to see, for instance, it is just for a committee meeting, it's not a council meeting, and some of those parameters, as I've emailed out to you, state that that a matter of general business can occur, provided it does not, 1, initiate the immediate expenditure of the local government funds not provided for in the budget, 2, in the opinion of the CEO or a senior executive employee, initiate an unnecessary diversion of resources, 3, involve a change of the local government's policies, 4, initiate the creation of a new local government policy, 5, involve a matter which would normally be the subject of a report from a committee or requires advice from the CEO or a senior executive employee. And it does go on talking about the fact that if the matter cannot be considered by the committee in the course of general business by virtue of this section, the member may request a report be prepared for consideration for the relevant committee. And the final note is, where possible, a notice of general business motion should be provided in writing to the CEO at least 24 hours before the committee meeting. And that's another thing when I do hear from feedback, certainly last term from councillors, where if something was brought to the table all of a sudden that people didn't have notice of, it made people feel quite uncomfortable. And I think we are a board. In any other board you would have some notice. So I guess I ask for some consideration that if you're going to bring up a general business item, can you at least give everyone a heads up 24 hours beforehand saying, hey, I wouldn't mind bringing up this planning matter or this matter. I guess I'm opening up the floor for that discussion. I know there's no parameters on this particular thing on general business. I'd like to see some, or at least generate a discussion about how that would happen. Thank you, Councillor Tully.
Yeah, with your indulgence, just speaking, if people are agreeable to respond to that, I think what was said before is important, that Councillor Doyle referred to people not bringing up minor or just purely operational matters. And I guess the operation of it and how it works will be in the hands of individual committees and individual councillors. I'm confident that councillors will act professionally in this matter. We're always in a position to be able to put some requirements, operational requirements on it, but I need to respond to those ones from Logan City, and I take a different view of how they have it. Remembering our committees don't have any delegated powers, so there's 3 items that are mentioned in their policy. One is that you can't raise a matter to initiate immediate expenditure of the local government funds. Well, that wouldn't be possible under our meeting procedures because of the lack of delegation. In the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, if it would initiate an unnecessary diversion of resources, my view is that CEOs should not be able to control what councillors discuss, and it should be always in our hands as elected members. 3, it could involve a change of local government policies. Well, this is in Logan where you can't raise it, whereas a brief discussion could be raised by a councillor that might want to consider a possible change in policy without making the decision at that meeting, naturally, which it can't, it could only recommend. But just even touching on the requirement for a change in policy, or under 4, initiate the creation of a new local government policy. Again, that would be perfectly legitimate in my view if there were issues that arise and people just want to have a general discussion or debate about them, or involve a matter which would normally be the subject of a report from a committee or requires advice from the CEO. Well, again, that might be a report which hasn't come forward or which does require advice, and that could be the very basis of what an individual councillor raises, as a result of this motion under questions or general business. I think the issues you raise about advising the chair, other councillors, perhaps the afternoon in advance, that's fine. But let's just not put too many restrictions on this to start with. Just work collaboratively, and if it doesn't work and it needs some, dare I say the word controls, I'll be the first one to, as people probably know, to make some suggestions to just tighten it up a little bit. As for that other issue about officers, it is perfectly legitimate. In Parliament, state and federal, questions are always asked without notice. I'm sure the opposition doesn't tip off the Premier or other minister about their questions, and quite frequently they are put on notice as well, which I would see as, in many cases, being appropriate. You know, it would be unusual if a councillor expected to have detailed financial or operational matters or amounts or whatever. So I just see it as a bit of a sounding board for councillors, and I think it will work. I'm confident it will work, and I just hope councillors support this.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Just in speaking to the questions without notice, that's to MPs, you know, not public servants. Look, I'm prepared to show good faith in supporting this on the proviso that if it does put council officers in that very difficult position, or if standing orders are suspended to do certain things that I think is not within the intention of what has been discussed today, then I have that opportunity to come forward, just like you have today, to talk about a change in the policy. So I'm happy to support in good faith. I'll just check with the CEO on any of your views.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Just through you as Chair, I think just to simply to add that, you know, as CEO with the executive leaders, we're here to serve the council, to you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor and the councillors. So we would always seek to respond to any questions that are raised as general business and without any forewarning, as best we're able. In the circumstances, I would probably seek to answer any questions myself as the CEO and limit any officer responses, just depending on what the issue is and the nature of it, you know, whether it is a matter that we are aware of, we have received correspondence in relation to, or whether it is a matter that, you know, is truly not one that we are aware of, in which case it would likely be taken on notice, and we want to, of course, go and get some proper advice and good information so that we properly inform you all as the committee members, as the case would be.
So, Councillor, may I ask you, thank you for that, CEO. Councillor, it's my understanding, I guess, checking, would people give 24 hours notice, or you're saying the night before, or by close of business the day before? But if something's urgent and has to be done, suspending standing orders can always occur anyway. But I guess I'm just trying to get an understanding from councillors on, rather than just turning up and then here are 10 matters that we're going to discuss at this committee meeting. Yeah,
in my mind, like sometimes people get a good idea on the day of a council meeting when they wake up. So I wouldn't want to put that in as a limitation initially, but I think it's probably a good idea if it's a CEO officer sort of a question about an issue to let people know. But as I say, just urge councillors just to keep it open, free-flowing at the moment, advise people if necessary, because it's not going to have motions attached to it, and it can't have decisions, certainly can't have decisions attached to it. No, if someone wanted to move a motion, they'd have to suspend standing orders, and I think that's the protection for the organisation.
I guess, yes, and like I said, I'll support this in good faith, and we'll see how it goes. Yep. Any other discussion? So, Councillor Augustine?
Yeah, I put my thing up as high as I could.
Oh, actually down.
I'll bring it back down now.
Sorry, that one I don't really see well.
As a new councillor, my feedback is I feel like sometimes there's no avenue for me to ask questions, and I think this might be a good mechanism for me to be able to broach a question, because when you don't know, you don't know. You know, people say, just do this. Yeah, well, I don't know to do that. So when you don't know, you don't know. But I do also realise, that sometimes an untested pathway could get loose, but if we could all agree that if it does, we can rein it in. But yeah, I'm in agreement with and will support it going forward. Yeah.
Councillor Doyle?
Oh, thank you, Mayor. As I mentioned before, I am supportive of this motion. However, I'd just like to contribute one final comment, and certainly in the theme of what you've been talking about, and that is council officers and staff. As you know, I'm very committed to my residents, and up there is also the staff to ensure that they are treated with respect and that they have a safe place to work in. So I will be absolutely mindful of that and more than happy to call out.
Thank you.
If, I don't believe it's appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doyle. Yes, Councillor Madsen.
I guess I just feel obligated to state that I think every councillor has that view when it comes to the staff, just for the purposes of anyone watching.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I'm sorry.
No, I don't actually believe people attack officers in that way.
Please, okay.
I reject that assertion about myself, and I reject that assertion about any of my colleagues, inclusive of everyone on the council.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Madsen. Okay. So is there any other discussion? So I've asked, is there any other discussion? I'll go to Councillor Tully as the mover for a right of reply and then a vote.
Yeah, I will just thank council, as it's been a good debate, a discussion. It's raised issues that we may need to readdress, even in the near future. But hopefully it will work and it will be a valuable tool for councillors and our interaction with staff.
Thank you. Put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. Now we have item 15.2, item 7, the matter that was being discussed about the acquisition on the Ripley Road upgrade, Cunningham Highway to Fisher Road. Just note that there are a number of properties listed in the confidential attachment, so we cannot name the property. I was waiting for something from the organisation. Thank you, it's magically appeared. Thank you. If I could...
Committee clerk has a suggested form of wording that's come from the team, Mayor, through you as Chair.
So if I get you to look at, you can see that the track changes have been there. So recommendation A states, council as constructing authority proceed to acquire the land described in the amended confidential attachment 1, excluding property 9 for road purposes. When you say amended confidential attachment, why is that?
If I can, through you, Mayor, as Chair. So we have provided to the committee clerk an updated confidential attachment 1 that simply has the properties in the first section of that attachment numbered 1 through to 9.
Okay.
Question. That excluding property 9, so it's only one property or one group of properties?
So do you have your committee papers with you? Okay.
No, I don't. No, I'm satisfied.
One property. Sorry, through the Chair. One property.
That's the relevant property.
One property.
So if I could just, item 7 had a list, if you look at page 75 in the confidential background notes, there were 9 private property acquisitions and 2 council property road dedications. We're looking at item 9, which is the final one. They're actually not numbered, so it's the last in that list. So I think that's the amendment. We'll number those properties 1 through to 9 sequentially, and there'll be property number 9. You've got it. I think the Deputy Mayor.
Is that that's the only recommended change?
Yes, that way the rest of the acquisitions could proceed, which I think was in line with some of the... Okay.
Well, that remains an item from my committee.
Yes, it is.
Well, I'll move that with the amendment. Amendment as well. It's not actually an amendment, but I'll move that motion as
thank
displayed.
You.
Thank you.
I'll just see if one of the Division 1 councillors wish to second that. I think Councillor Augustine put a hand up. So that's the motion before us now. I'll open it up for discussion. No discussion? No, thank you. In that case, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hand. It's unanimous and carried. Thank you, and thank you, CEO, for your assistance there and bringing it back, and thank you, Councillor Tully, for managing that as well. Item 18 is questions on notice, and there are none. So I will close the meeting. Thank you very much to the departmental staff who have been sitting here as well. Thank you for your support here, and I'll close it at 12:05. Thank you very much.